Hi, everyone. Welcome to the How We Hustle podcast.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tanya. And we invite you to join us in our unfiltered conversation about the real life hustle of being an entrepreneur. For more information about the podcast, check out howwehustlepodcast.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at How We Hustle Podcast, where you'll get notable quotes from our episodes and updates on live new episodes. So head over to Instagram and follow us at How We Hustle Podcast. Okay, so today, guys, we're going to talk about 6 different fears that come up as an entrepreneur and how to choose courage over fear in each of these situations. So the first one we're going to talk about is fear of having no safety net. So as an entrepreneur, you do not have a fallback plan. I mean, I hope you don't. You should not have a plan B. Plan A is the only plan you have. And when you're an employee, there's severance, I could get another job, there's a recruiting company. You can always fall back on some other company that's a competitor of the company you work for, or that you might have a retirement savings plan, or someone's going to pay you severance or unemployment.
As Jen Sincero says, if you have a backup plan, you have no plan at all.
No, she said, yeah, you haven't made a decision.
So the fear we were talking about is fear of having no safety net, which is definitely scary. It's something that, in my decade of being an entrepreneur, there have been times where I have laid in bed being like, I don't freaking know if I can make it through next week because I don't have enough money to make it through next week. But, you got to just choose courage. And I'm still here today. Like, I'm still living. I didn't die of starvation. And I never have ever had to sleep under a bridge. But
I also think you also have the opportunity and the ability to make as much money as you want. There's always something you can do in those situations. If I didn't have enough money, I know in the back of my mind that I can always figure something out. I can always do a promotion. I can always find a way. I can always offer something to my current clients, or I can do a giveaway, or I can do a different launch, or offer promo something I have, or create something new. There's always something you can do to create more money. There's always something you can do to create opportunity in your business. Whereas when you're an employee, you don't have that opportunity. You can't just say, oh, I'd like a promotion today, or, oh, I'd like a bonus on June of the year. You don't get that opportunity. So as an entrepreneur, you can create as much as you want, but if you do nothing and create nothing, then there's no safety net.
Yeah, I remember doing that myself when I, maybe 2 years ago, when I was a little short on cash flow and I needed to raise some money. So I sent an email to my best customer who I knew over the next few months was going to spend a lot of money. And I said to her, I'm like, if you commit now, I'll give you a massive discount. And I forget what the discount was, but I pretty much said to her, pay me up front and I will give you a big discount on the next few months' work. And she did. So I took a little bit of a hit on my long-term profit for the next few months, but she really helped me raise that money in that moment. And so it wasn't actually that hard.
Mm-hmm. And it's always that's always a way that you can, if you need to invest in something in your business and you don't have the funds, you can always create a promo or an offer to raise the money so that you can make more money in the future, so that you have the system, so that you have the support, so that you have whatever you need in order to grow your business, make more money, and not be in that situation.
So it's about having the courage to know that you do have a safety net, even though it's not the same safety net, they're not the traditional safety net. You are your own safety net, and you have to have the courage to realize that.
And believe in yourself, right? Believe that you are capable of creating whatever you desire to have. As an entrepreneur, we create something from nothing. We create opportunities. We create jobs. We create products and programs and solutions.
So the second fear that was on our list here is the fear of having no certainty, no plan, and sort of no idea of what's next. Being an entrepreneur it's not the same routine as a lot of people have. The days are different, and in a lot of ways that's scary, but also in a lot of ways that's exciting. And I was thinking, there's a lot of videos going around. I know Gary Vee has one just about dreading Sunday, Monday, like dreading Sunday because it's almost Monday, and like dreading Monday because it's Monday. And
That's so strange. Monday is my favorite. Sunday and Monday are my favorite days of the week.
it's actually the same with me. Like I love
Every
it.
entrepreneur I know is like that. All of my clients, like Sunday and Mondays are their favorite days of the week.
I love Mondays because it's the first day of the week.
Yeah, like it's like opportunity.
Yeah, like I have the whole week ahead of me to just like create shit, and like get ahead. And I actually kind of feel sad on Friday because I'm like, if I had to say which day was the least productive for me, it's probably Saturday. So, I'm like, it's Friday. It's like tomorrow's Saturday. I'm like, I feel like the week is over and I'm kind of sad about it. So
interesting how that changes. Cause like, I always think about that. Like Monday morning is like one of my favorite things. Like wake up Monday morning, like all of the things that are
and that doesn't mean I'm having a good week necessarily. Like, even if I'm feeling down on myself and, not feeling the momentum and feeling stuck, I still love Monday because I'm like, this is the chance for me to get unstuck. It's like, I don't like, if I'm feeling stuck and Friday comes along, it's like, I have the opposite. I'm like, I don't want to be stuck on Friday. I'd rather be stuck on Monday because I have the whole week to get unstuck. If I'm stuck on Friday, it means I'm at the end of the week and still stuck,
Yeah. And I do think though, like time, like I don't notice a lot of the days. I'm always like, what day is it again? Because that definitely changes where you're like, all of the days are sort of the same for me, at least. But like certainly like Saturday is my least productive day. I don't work on Saturdays, so.
So how do we overcome the fear of having no certainty with courage?
Good idea. Well, firstly, I think that the courageous plan as an entrepreneur is to create some sort of schedule, create some sort of plan, create some sort of like thing to stick to. And I always like to put one task. If you get this one task done today, not like something gigantic, something manageable, something you could do in an hour or less, what is the one thing that you need and you want to make sure you get done that day? And I will create that plan for like 6 weeks in advance, or the whole month or 3 months. But I typically don't do more than 6 weeks. But for 6 weeks, what is the one thing that needs to get done every single day? And then if you do that, what are the other things that you would do after? Anything else after that first thing is just a bonus. But that way you have a plan to stick to. Like give yourself deadlines, give yourself a schedule. Like when do you do things? I've been working right now with like blocking my time out and having like specific goals per day, like booking one call per day or speaking to one new person per day, or what am I doing today? Like sales pages today or client calls today or answering emails, or just like having those specific tasks that you do at a specific time. Like I have a big problem with answering emails all throughout the day, which is totally not productive. And so blocking out times where I answer emails, where I answer Facebook messages, and not really doing it outside of that. So like creating yourself a routine and a plan so that it has less uncertainty and that you have a direction.
Yeah, and setting goals, that takes courage, to say I'm going to book one call tomorrow. That takes courage, because you're setting yourself up for expectation.
Yeah, but I also think you should expect things, because when you expect nothing to happen, then nothing happens. Like when you expect that it's going to happen, you're also taking action to facilitate that or to support that expectation. If you expect that somebody is going to message you, or you expect to make a sale, or you're acting as if it is already going to happen. And then you're stepping into that sort of vibe of, I get new clients every day. I make sales every day. I have a plan. My business is growing. Those types of vibrations versus nothing's happening in my business. I don't know where my next sale is going to come from. I don't know where my next client is coming from.
All right, let's move down the list to the number 3, which is the fear of failure, which is a huge one because, and this kind of relates to the first two. If you are an entrepreneur, you don't have that safety net. And if you're to fail, then there's, you don't have this, you don't have the same safety net. I was going to say there's no one to catch you. And that's not really true because, it's just not. But The big thing with fear of failure is the idea of like shame and humiliation. Like if you are a business owner and it doesn't work out, like you're kind of wearing that label on your face, you know? You don't need to be, but and there's really no reason for shame and humiliation, but it's still scary. Like if I were to come on this podcast and tell everyone like I failed, that would be terrifying for me.
But what would make you feel like it was a failure? Like when would you give up on something? Like that's always the thing. I just feel like I wouldn't give up. If it was something I really believed in, like I would find a way.
Yeah, and I'm the same way too. And you know, there's a difference between micro failures and macro failures. You know, I can speak for myself. I have micro failures all the time. I have micro failures every day. Like if I'm on a sales call and it doesn't like go well, I blame, and it doesn't go well because I know that I didn't execute that call properly. Like that's a micro failure for me. But I'm not about to throw in the towel and give up my business and be like, I'm a failure. So there's micro and macro, and I think it's really important to understand the difference and to understand that micro failures are essential to like success on a macro level, because it's only through micro failures that you learn little lessons and big lessons and figure out how to adapt your tomorrow so that, you know, the big picture works out.
Mm-hmm. I think that it's normal to have those little failures. Like it's
essential.
You can't let those things, you can't let those things get you down, because you also have to consistently be doing those things. Like just because it fails the very first time doesn't mean that it's going to fail the second time or the fifth time or the seventh time. Like it literally takes going back and doing it a little bit differently and making little teeny tiny shifts and changes and trying things all different ways, but continuing and knowing that that thing is going to work. Like, for example, I was sharing with Mike before we got on here that I consistently do a live video on Facebook on Tuesdays. And when I first started, I used to do Q&A Tuesday. And to be honest, like there were many times that no one showed up, that I was literally talking to myself. But I had to consistently do that over and over and over again and show up as if people were going to be there in order for people to actually consistently come and show up for my Q&A Tuesday. Or how about this? I told the ladies this week that there were times when I did my webinar where there was literally nobody on it and it was just me doing the webinar. But one, I had to do it. I had to stay on and I had to show up as if there were tons of people there, because one, I was sending out the recording, and two, what if somebody showed up in the middle of it? Like if I wanted to say, oh, this webinar was a failure, nobody's here, so I'm just going to like not do the rest of the webinar. Well, what if somebody joined midway and then I wasn't actually there? Or then I wouldn't have had a replay to send to people who had signed up but didn't show up.
Yeah. We were also talking about baseball before the call too, because I was saying that the only job I'd rather do than what I'm doing now is being a baseball player. But imagine striking out in the 6th inning, and then like you need to have the courage to get back in the 9th inning and go win the game for your team, you know?
Yeah, and just because you struck out doesn't mean you're going to strike out again.
Yeah, you got to have the courage and face that fear.
And go back every time believing that like this time is going to be different. This time, I'm not going to strike out. This time, people are going to show up. What can you do to help and support the fact that people are going to show up, or that you're not going to strike out? What are you going to do differently? What are you going to watch for? What are you going to focus on? And knowing that like you're capable of making it work.
And not letting those past micro failures, like not letting the strikeout in the 6th inning, like get into your head so that when you're up to the plate in the 9th inning that it's going to like affect you, you know, not letting those negative thoughts of shame and humiliation like affect you, you know, more so than they need to. A little bit of fear maybe is good, but for, you know, you got to really overcome that with courage. You got to let courage win the day, not fear.
Yeah. I think that what you said about literally showing up, like, you know, you can only fear by not showing. You can only fail by not showing up. You can only fail by not doing it again.
It's only, you know, they say you only fail when you give up. And that's so true, especially in entrepreneurship, because Man, I have failed so many times.
One of my clients always asks herself, how do you want to feel when you go to bed today? Do you want to feel like you didn't do every single thing that you could have done to make it a success? Or do you want to know that you did everything in your power to make it a success? Do you feel good about all the things that you did? Do you feel good about the effort and the time and the energy and the actions that you put in to make it a success? If you feel good about it at the end of the day, then that's your measure of success rather than the results. Like, focus on the actions that you take versus the results, because the actions are what are going to get you the results eventually. Maybe not today, but they certainly will over time.
And have the courage to like accept that the actions will get you there. And that takes courage to believe in that and not let the fear of the day or the moment overcome you. So the next fear on our list is like fear of not knowing what to do. And this is something we've also talked about on previous episodes, but what if you don't know what to do? What are you supposed to do then? And like, I don't
go with your gut.
Yeah. Like, I don't know always how to run my Facebook ads or deal with Amazon Web Services, or like these things like freak me out. Like, they're so complicated.
I don't know why they make them so complicated. Seriously, they don't need to be so complicated, but they do make them very complicated. And I think that one, like, they can be really overwhelming when you're like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. Like, I always feel like that with like video editing right now. Like, that I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much to learn. I don't know. I don't really have that much time to like learn, and I'm so overwhelmed by everything. But like, just take it one itty bitty teeny tiny step at a time. Just learn one thing. Just spend 15 minutes learning how to do something, read something, ask somebody a question, watch a video on how to do it, or read an article. I don't know.
Well, I find like if I'm struggling with something, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to like block out the next 2 hours, and I'm just going to like put my expectations aside, and maybe I'm going to watch a video on how to do this. Like, I'm just going to take 2 hours, and at the end of this 2 hours, maybe I'll feel better, maybe I won't, but I'm going to try it. So I'm just going to take 2 hours and like just put everything else that's going on aside and try and overcome this one thing that is standing in my way in this moment. And it's just little actions like that, like break it down. Just take 2 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, 2 hours to me sounds like so much time. However, that being said, while you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, wow, 2 hours seems like a ton of time. But at the end of the day, it's like, do you want this or do you not? Are you willing to put in the time it's going to take to learn this, or are you not willing to do it?
Like, it's like the reason I say 2 hours is because like 15 minutes sometimes isn't enough. And like there's this like urge I find that I have to get everything done quickly. Like, if I can't figure out Facebook ads in 15 minutes, then like, screw it. I'm just going to like do something else. If I just say to myself, you know what? 15 minutes is not long enough. I'm going to need actually 2 hours of my attention to really get into this to the point where I can feel better about it. So I'm going to take 2 hours, because it's going to take 2 hours. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to spend 2 hours. It's 2:00 right now. And by 4 p.m., I'm going to be in a whole new mindset with this one problem, because I've just decided to take 2 hours. Like, what else could I do with 2 hours? I could go to a movie. I could go for a walk. There's so many things I could do with 2 hours that are kind of I don't want to say a waste, but kind of a waste. It's like, I'm not going to waste these 2 hours. By 4 p.m., I'm going to be in a whole new mindset.
But Mike, some people don't have 2 hours. But I'm just saying, like, they can stay up
Everyone
extra
can find
2 hours.
2 hours. Everyone can find 2 hours.
If it's the difference between making your business a success and not making your business a success, find the 2 hours to do it. Like, I am pretty knowledgeable when it comes to Facebook ads at this point, but it took me a year to get to this point. And I spent 2 hours many times. Like, over the past year, I've probably spent a lot of hours. I don't know how many hours, like, learning about Facebook ads, like learning from experts, reading and researching and trying and testing and like doing Facebook ads with what I knew. Like start with what you know, start with what you've just learned in your 2 hours and like start there because you will learn as you go. And we've talked about this before, but like you don't start out a professional. Like, and to be honest, even people that do Facebook ads, no one's Facebook ad starts out epic the very first time you push publish.
That's something I've realized lately because I've been tweaking my ads, and the more I tweak, I've been getting some more, some better results by just like tweaking it.
Mm-hmm. So it takes time to tweak and to learn. And just because you don't know what to do right at the beginning, it can be overwhelming. But starting small and focusing on learning one small thing at a time, because if you look at everything that you'll need to know, like there are so many things, like you do have to wear so many hats, like Mike said at the beginning. And so you have to start with just one thing at the beginning. Just start with one thing, learn, and then the next week, choose something else to learn or choose to learn something else about that platform. Try something new. It's really about not being afraid to be a beginner. Don't be afraid to be a beginner because every single one of us is a beginner at the beginning.
So moving down the list, I almost feel like number 5 and number 6 are like very related. Maybe we can talk about them together. Like number 5 is fear of all the good ideas have been taken. And number 6 is like fear of not being good enough. I feel like they're very like similar. Fear all the good ideas have been taken. So if you're starting a business or, it's like, what could we possibly do? Like every business is already taken. It's like.
But I think that just means that there's a big market for it. Just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you always need to come up with like a brand new idea. It could be a different take on the same idea. There are tons of stores that sell jeans. There are tons of brands that sell jeans. Nobody's going to stop wearing jeans. So anybody who comes into the jean market now can still be successful because people are going to be wearing jeans for a long time. That ain't going out of style anytime soon. So if you were like, well, people already make jeans, I shouldn't go into the jean industry. Like, no, you definitely should go into the jean industry because what if the jeans you create are better than any of the other ones? Or what if some people like them better than the jeans they have out there right now? So just because it's been done doesn't mean that you can't still do it.
Yeah, if you're allowing that fear to take over, it's because you're letting scarcity mindset take over. Like there's not enough. So have the courage to replace that scarcity mindset with an abundance mindset, which says that there is enough, there's enough to go around, there's enough for me. And if I work hard and put value, the abundance will come to me regardless of what abundance is going elsewhere.
There's always enough to go around. But number 6 is more of like not being good enough. Like you yourself are not good enough. Not your idea, but you.
So the last one is fear of not being good enough. Yeah.
And I mean, I had a little bit of a imposter worthiness struggle this week that I shared with you. So like, even though I typically don't have this fear anymore, like at the beginning and certainly along the way as you up level, it comes up over and over and over again. Like, am I really good enough to do that? Am I really good enough to say this about myself? Am I really good enough to charge that much? Am I really good enough to be interviewed by that person or to be on that podcast or to be on that TV show or to write an article for that magazine? And I think it comes up over and over again, to be honest.
So just have the courage to be like, yes, I am good enough. And it's something we've talked about. Like that's like a vibe thing. When you're vibing in a very positive, courageous way, like really good things happen. And I know it's true. It just does. And even today, for me, it happened. When I'm just feeling really courageous about like myself, meaning like I just feel good enough. I'm like. Actually, this is something that you've been helping me with. Like, there's days where I'm like second guessing my own value. I'm like, I don't know if I'm good enough, and nothing happens to me in those days. Like, but then on other days, and it's usually because like the days when I'm creating, when I'm in creation mode, those are the days where I really feel good about myself. And like, those are the days that like I book calls and I have good interactions with people and just good things are happening. So, just have the courage to believe in yourself. Even if it's hard, just do it. Just believe in yourself. Just tell yourself, I got this.
So I actually shared an exercise that I used to do when I was first starting out with my ladies this weekend. And so I'm going to share it now. So just be open-minded about this. I used to, when I didn't feel good enough and to create the vibration of like, damn, I'm like awesome. I used to, this is awkward, but okay. Stand naked in front of your mirror and like look at yourself from a perspective of being a friend or somebody who loves you. Maybe you don't have to be naked. I just happened to have been because it was like when I was showering. But so you look at yourself in the mirror as if that person is like your friend or somebody you love. And you're like, damn girl, I used to say this, damn girl, you look great today. Or like, damn girl, you're a great coach. Or damn girl, you're a great friend. Or like, damn, you're great at webinars. Or you're a great speaker. Like, just like give yourself compliments as if you were your best friend. And doing it naked is like when you're most vulnerable. And like you can say like nice things about your body or how you look or whatever it is that you're like not feeling like is good enough. But doing that regularly, at least once a day, and noticing the things that you are good at, noticing where you have helped someone or noticing what you do know, rather than focusing on the places where you don't feel good enough. Where do you feel good enough? What do people say about you? What do people compliment you for? Whenever you do something really awesome, or you're there for a friend, or you created something beautiful, or you were supportive, or you did a really great video, or whatever it is that you did that was really awesome, like being your own best friend and congratulating yourself or telling yourself how good that was. Giving yourself some of that feedback rather than waiting for other people to give you that feedback. Because sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's very lonely and like we are our own, like no one knows what we're doing a lot of the time. And so we can't rely on other people's compliments. We can't rely on other people's acknowledgement of what we're doing. So noticing that stuff within yourself will help you feel good enough. Like, what are you great at? Why are you worthy? Rather than asking questions that don't empower you, questions that make you feel less than.
Well said. Well said. So to wrap this up, fear is everywhere and it's hard to escape it. But fear can mean the difference between pursuing your dream and not going for it. So we are entrepreneurs, we are going for it. So we really have to find ways to choose courage over fear.
Yeah. And I think that the last points that we wanted to share with you is that if you're stuck in the fear, if you're stuck in, I don't know what the frick I'm doing, I don't know what to do, I don't feel good enough, like do something different. Whatever you've been doing, try something different. Whatever you've been doing, like change it up, take action, start creating, start sharing, start journaling, meditate, like look within yourself and listen to the messages that you're getting and then take focused action on those things. Like rather than letting the thoughts and fears prevent you from moving forward and like stopping you from taking action, like do anything. Like I don't care what it is, but like take some sort of action.
Yeah, don't ever get stuck in inaction because that is when the fear just breeds.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you're alone with your thoughts, it's like they overwhelm you. So if you have to do something just to like take your own mind off of yourself, off of your situation, and just do something to create some momentum. I always say action creates momentum, whether it's teeny tiny or huge, like any sort of action will create momentum. You can reach out to one person, send an email, like post on social media, like someone else's post or comment on it, like connect with somebody, go for a walk, like think or create or write or draw, whatever your creative outlet is, but start and get back into like creation mode. It will give you some ideas and make you feel worthy and excited.
And that's a wrap on another episode of How We Hustle. For more information, check out howwehustlepodcast.com.